guys, I'm Rich from NeoWin, and today we're unboxing the Honor 9X Pro. Okay, so I'm not all that familiar with this device because Huawei stuff doesn't make its way to the United States too much, and that's a real shame because these are fantastic products. This is more of a mainstream device, so it's not like the Honor 20 Pro that I recently reviewed, or the View 20, which I reviewed before that. This has got a Kirin 810 chipset in it, so it doesn't have the AI, the dual core AI neural processing unit that the higher end models have, but it does have a triple camera. It has a 48 megapixel main sensor. It's got 8 gigs of RAM, so calling it a mainstream phone, it does have quite a lot of memory on it. Although it might need a little bit extra to handle the Magic UI, which is what they call it. Huawei phones has EMUI, Honor phones have Magic UI. And so those are kind of similar with some subtle differences. So let's get this open. Now, here's what I said. One of the reasons I say that they're phenomenal phones. The design is so pretty. Okay, so we're going to get this. It's a glass sandwich, and we have some Chinese stuff written on the back. We're just going to pull this sticker off. All right. Oh, there's another sticker. I thought it was all just the one sticker. This phone is full of surprises so far. So this one's actually proven to be a little. There it goes. So you can see the way that the light reflects it. There is an X. Okay, it's awesome. And you can see, like, it goes from kind of purple to pinkish as a gradient. It uses that kind of holographic. There's an X. It's cool. It looks awesome. This is a very pretty phone. I love it. The last one I had was the Honor 20 Pro, and that sort of, they call that a holographic back, and that looked a little different. And then the V20, or the View 20, that was the one that it had a V that kind of just reflected up and down the body. So this one's an X because it's the 9X Pro. And it looks lovely, and this is why it's a real shame to me that one of the reasons that it's a real shame to me that Huawei devices don't come to the United States is because they look cool. Other than that, they're great devices. They look cool, and American companies, or companies that do sell devices in the United States, aren't doing things that are cool when it comes to design. I have, well, I'm not going to pull it out. The iPhone 11 Pro I have, and it's like it's the same thing. Like, yeah, there's a matte black on it instead of the glossy glass back. It's like a frosted glass. Like, cool. The thing is, when they do, like, OnePlus has a cool gradient design on some of its new phones. And the thing is, like, Huawei started that trend with gradients with the P20. And they keep doing cool stuff. And here's more cool stuff. And it's like none of the phones that are sold here are on that leading edge of design that Huawei is. And it's a real shame. It's a real shame because people, when you pull out a phone, you want it to look nice. You want to look cool with your phone. I don't know. It's just a thing, I guess. Let's see what we got in here. Huawei guide. There's a case, and so many phones these days come with cases. It's so weird to me. And they're clear cases, which is presumably because they put so much work into this design. And maybe if they didn't come with a clear case, you would just end up buying something that covered up that design, and then people won't be able to see what they put so much work at. Because obviously Huawei wants your friends to see this, so your friends can go, hey, what phone is that? And you go, oh, it's a Huawei, and then people can buy it. It does come with a US charger, although does it not say? It just says Huawei on it, and there's no, oh, there we go. This is actually a 10-watt charger, so no super fast charging here. And then, of course, we have a USB Type A to Type C cable, which I'm not going to take out. I'm going to leave these right here so they're safe. I rarely take chargers out of the box. I rarely use the stock chargers. The only reason for that is just because it makes life a lot easier when I have to ship the device. I obviously have a ton of USB-C chargers, so when I ship the device back, it's got all the stuff in there, and I don't have to worry about it. So we're going to boot this guy up, and looks like there's a fingerprint sensor on the side, which that's what it usually means when there's a hole in the case and there's a flat power button. Otherwise, the case usually covers the button like it does with the volume rocker here. Okay, so we're wrapping this up over here. I'm restoring from a backup. Well, I'm restoring from another phone actually, because it would seem that it would seem, I'm not 100% sure yet, is that this phone does not have Google services. So I guess it's a Chinese model, or like the new Mate 30 doesn't have Google services at all because American companies currently aren't allowed to do business with Huawei. For reasons that I'm not going to get into here, but they're really dumb, I'll tell you that. But so yeah, I don't think this has Google service. I haven't signed into a Google account, so I'm using Phone Clone to restore stuff for my P30 Pro. So yeah, this is should be almost done. I'm kind of excited that it doesn't have Google services though. This will be the first Huawei phone that I've used without Google services. So it's actually kind of interesting to me. I'd almost call myself an AOSP nerd, where these types of devices intrigue me. I was a big fan of I was actually, people are gonna crap on me for saying this, but I was a big fan of the Amazon Fire Phone. I still have a Nokia X, which was this was Nokia X was like when they were making Windows phones and Nokia wanted to try their hand at Android, so they just had this. Well, we're importing videos now. Okay, so this is still taking a little while, but yeah, Nokia decided they wanted to try their hand at Android, and they made these non-Google Android phones, and I liked it because it's just something that's different from the norm, but we will obviously be missing Google services. Okay, I think this is finally done. It's transferred a full 23 gigabytes. All right, there's navigation gesture. We can try out the gestures. Okay, if we swipe in from the left edge, that's, I guess, taking us to photo gallery. Or maybe it's the same thing. Yeah, so it takes us to the home screen, swiping up, which is, and I guess we're doing it, if we swipe up. And these are Android 10 gestures. By the way, this actually runs EMUI. We'll stick with gestures, and I'm not sure which version of EMUI it runs, which is interesting because it looks a lot like Magic. Let's go into about EMUI 9. Okay, cool. So it is the latest one, and any software updates? I bet there is. It's brand new. Well, we'll let that check, and it'll pop up if it's there. So yeah, some of the subtle differences that you see between this and regular EMUI. See how the settings icon's a little more colorful. There's a little stuff like that. Do we have an app? No app drawer. I'll have to turn that on. Yeah, but no Google Play Store, as you can see. So we're gonna, I guess, go into Huawei App Gallery, and hopefully we can find some. My current country region is Germany. Okay, and we're going to agree to all this stuff. Lots of pop-ups there. No, I don't want your recommended apps. So yeah, I guess this is it. What's cool to me, though, about AOSP is that I have a background in Windows Phone. I used to review a lot of Windows phones back in the day. And that was a big problem. If you ever had Windows phones, if you ever reviewed Windows phones, the big problem was apps. And we all knew this, and there were no Google services. That was a big deal. And Microsoft announced something called Project Astoria, where they were actually going to bring Android apps over at one point, and you'd be able to sideload apps, and everybody praised that as the solution. So, and Google apps still wouldn't work. But, I appreciate the ability to do something different, without being beholden to Google. I don't like pop-ups like that. So here we have the camera app, and it's pretty standard for a Huawei device. Now, if we go to the front camera, yeah, we have a little a pop-up camera and a pop-up on the screen, which we all love. All right, so yeah, that's pretty cool. You'll notice that there is no notch on the display. Okay, and it's very narrow bezels. It's a 1080p display coming in at 6.59 inches. Okay, it's 19.5 by 9. It's a very common aspect ratio in today's phones. It's very tall, and yeah, no notch, which I love that Huawei is doing these things with no notch, where the View 20 and the Honor 20 Pro, which I talked about earlier, that has a hole punch cutout for the front camera rather than a notch. And Huawei's been doing that a lot on Honor phones. Huawei proper phones haven't really done that at all. So I love the pop-up camera. I love the innovative things that companies are thinking of to not put a notch on the phone. There's a bunch of apps over here that I don't know what they are. Things like that and that. Where they're just written in Chinese, but that's fine. I'm gonna install my own apps on here, and hopefully I can get them all. There's a lot that I don't have use for. Alipay, Weibo, I don't know. AMAP, I don't know what this is. I was recently. I'm not gonna find out what it is. I was recently in China, and Google Maps. Here's the thing: Google services don't work in China at all. Well, I shouldn't say at all. They work if you have an American SIM card in your phone. So I was able to use it for walking directions a little bit, but it wasn't very good. So it wouldn't track me if I walked. So I wouldn't know if I was walking the right way. I'd have to walk around a little bit. So I would love to try out something. If I was in China, I'd love to try out their actual mapping technologies. A lot of these apps are similar to what you'd find on any Huawei phone. Phone Clone is there, which is what I just used to restore from a backup. The Recorder app comes in handy, which apparently I have 4 gigabytes of recordings that I always use a phone as a backup recorder for audio and in videos. So I guess I have 4 gigs. There's an optimizer app, which app gallery. I want to go back here because I want to see what kind of apps they have, because I'm worried that that some of my apps will be available. I'll deal with not. Geez, there are so many pop-ups on this phone. We're gonna have to change the keyboard at some point. All right. You're right. I'm not gonna do this right now. Yeah, we're not messing with that. But yeah, it's pretty standard. Just no Google services. We can take one more look at the back of the phone. You can see it's picking up fingerprints pretty easily. I did take the case off, but it is a beautiful device. Like, seriously, I wiped the fingerprints off. But seriously, you're not going to see anything like this in buying in the United States. And it's a real shame that they don't sell these here. It's a disservice to American consumers, if you ask me. Triple lens camera, like I said, 48 megapixel AI camera. So the AI means that it's supposed to be able to tell what it's looking at and adjust settings accordingly. So if you put it on food, it would saturate the image more so you get those brighter colors, make your food look more appetizing in your pictures. That is an f1.8 48 megapixel sensor, half-inch, has phase detect autofocus, so it should be pretty good. A half-inch sensor should have pretty good low-light capabilities, and then also it's going to use quad Bayer technology where it combines 4 pixels into one to create a 12 megapixel image. And obviously that it's basically taking the light from those images and putting them into one. So there's also an 8 megapixel ultra wide sensor and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. So it's not a zoom. The third lens is not a zoom sensor, it's a depth sensor. One other thing that I noticed while setting this up is that the display actually catches fingerprints pretty easily, but that's okay. Is it okay? I don't know. I don't know. I have to spend more time with it to really feel that. I have to say, like I'm excited about this phone. For a mainstream phone, it's sexy. It's a really sexy device, and the camera's going to be pretty solid. It has a 1080p display, no notch, 8 gigs of RAM. And, given the price point, which I don't really know because it's China, it's only China. But there's a lot of value here. It's got a solid processor. It's Kirin A10, like I said. So it's not the flagship processor. But the other thing that I often say about flagship processors is that they provide more performance than most people need. So this one is going to be good, actually, not just fine. It's going to be good. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about not having Google services because not having Google services also gives an OEM more freedom to create the kind of Android that the kind of experience that they want to provide, and that's cool to me. Things that are different are cool to me. So this is something that's a little different. So I'm also hoping that Huawei sends me a Mate 30. They haven't yet, which is a real bummer because I've reviewed every Huawei flagship phone for the last few years, and I think they're not seeding those phones to American journalists because no one in America is going to be able to buy it. So yeah, so I got this one, and I'm happy with it so far. Well, I have to use it. I mean, here's the thing: you don't miss Gmail because there are plenty of mail clients. They can all hook into Gmail, right? There's, I'm sure, a web browser on this phone. It's probably called something along the lines of Internet, which I don't actually see. Oh, here we go. It's called, let's see, I can't. Browser. It's called Browser. Okay, so, I mean, there's a browser, and yeah, it's not going to sync my bookmarks and my passwords from Chrome. There's one thing, okay? Calendar, and you probably won't miss Google Calendar because any calendar client will sync to your Google Calendar. Like it all kind of works out. The only thing that I really miss, and I missed this back in my Windows Phone days with Google Photos, was just, being able to automatically back up your photos to Google's cloud because Google Photos is awesome. But other than that, it works. You're going to be able to do what you want to do. And it's also very easy to sideload apps on an Android device. The only problem is that if it uses Google Play services, it's not going to work right unless you do some jiggery pokery to get Google Play services working, which is also kind of possible. So, I'm going to play with it. So, yeah, I'll have a review on this in probably about a month. I'm starting to have a lot of devices on the backlog here. So, yeah, so stay tuned for that. I'm Rich from NeoWin. Have a great night.